Well, good evening. So my name's Annette and I'm going to be the new leader of middle years. I haven't started yet, but I already feel part of this community. I've been made to feel really, really welcome. And I can say that I'm so excited to start next term. I want to talk to you about some of the things that we're going to be putting in place for your son or daughter as they enter Year 7 and Year 8 and go on to Year 9 here. So, as we've already said, I've been part of setting up Year 7 at Kildare College when the Catholic Education took on Year 7 in secondary school, and this happened about 3 years ago. And so in order to set up middle school, we looked at what is a middle years learner? What do they need? What do they like? What do we need to do? Because we realised that you can't just tack Year 7 onto a secondary setting. You really needed to change what you were doing in those years. And so at my school, we researched worldwide and we looked at what is a middle years learner. And we found that when students get to around Year 6, Year 7, they stop seeing their parents and their teachers as the font of all knowledge. And suddenly they start to question. They start to ask, why am I learning that? Why are you doing that? Is that what we should be doing? Is that what I want to be doing? And we need to take that on board. They start to ask us teachers, what's the relevance of that? Why am I learning that? And so really we need to take that into account when we're looking at the curriculum we want to teach. Now, of course, one of the things we need to do is make sure we have specialist teachers. So we will make sure that your child is taught by a teacher who knows not only the middle years but also knows the years beyond, knows Year 10, Year 11 and Year 12 and what's expected. And what we will do is we will take our knowledge and we will lead your son or daughter to the stage where they can comfortably move into SACE and they are successful. But we need to cater for them at the middle years. So here at St. Joseph's, we are going to introduce Heart and Smart. So Heart is a subject that is taught by a core teacher who teaches the areas of English, history, geography and religion. So this teacher sees your son or daughter for quite a period of time every day and through the week. So instead of your son or daughter moving to different classes in different rooms with different teachers, having to remember what books to take, because remember, they're not always in the same classroom, your son or daughter will be with that teacher for quite a period of time. And so they will build that relationship, just like they have in primary school, with that teacher. We then have the smart teacher, which will be me. So as a science maths specialist, I will teach the areas of science, maths and digital design technology. And so again, they will have me as another teacher that they see for many hours during the week, every day. And so again, we build a relationship. And the heart and the smart teacher will function together as a team. So together we support you as parents, but we also support the students. Now, of course, your son or daughter will also have elective subjects that they learn, and they'll also have other modules that they do. But the heart and the smart teachers will work together. And one of the things that I've been doing at Kildare is I've been living this process. And so I'd like to talk to you about a project that we would be running next term at Kildare. It's on sustainable suburbs. So as a science maths teacher, I am going to teach the students about sustainability. I'm going to teach them about what makes a suburb livable. We all know that Adelaide has just been released as the third most livable city in the world. Why? Why do people want to live in Adelaide? So we will talk to them about what makes a suburb livable, what makes a house sustainable. We would look at things like energy transfer, we would look at scale in maths, and then we will work with the heart teacher who would talk to them about things like council laws, looking at council procedures, what makes people come, for instance, to Murray Bridge. Why do you live here? Why didn't you live somewhere else? What led you here? And then together we encourage our students to design and build their own suburb. So they have to work out who's going to live in the suburb, why they're living in the suburb, what's going to be in the suburb, what type of housing is in the suburb, what sort of buildings, who are you catering for, what schools. They have to use their maths to make sure their buildings are scaled appropriately. You don't want a house that's the size of a gym. You don't want the gym that is the size of a dog kennel. So together we work to build the suburb, and then we have a big fair where you, the parents, get to come and see what they have done. We also involve people from outside of school, such as urban planners, such as people in sustainability, and they come along and they also look at the work the students are doing. Because one of the things we know is that middle year students don't want to just earn grades. They want to do something that's relevant. And to have an urban planner come up to your suburb
and say to you, wow, that is amazing. That is as good as we would see at university. How great do those students feel? Not only have I created something I got a grade for, but I've actually created something that a person does in their job. So that is what we will be doing with Heart and Smart. We will be working together. We will be bringing expertise into the field, but we'll also be ensuring that your son or daughter is excited about what they're doing. They're learning work that is relevant, so they can come home and they can say, today I did this, and guess what? This is the job that I could do if I went on in this field, and this is why I'm learning it.
Thanks, Annette. And I'll just continue on with a few things that we've got there. And you'll see with the smart related technologies, and we're going to integrate the latest and greatest technologies for our students here at the school. So we're talking 3D printers, virtual reality, augmented reality. We're going to be engaging students with laser cutters, vinyl cutters. All of that's going to be in, obviously, the latest and state-of-the-art facilities as well, which is really exciting. So that those technologies will be integrated. So they'll be able to learn how to use them and then use them for project work, use them, excuse me, for other things as well. So that's really exciting. We mentioned as well before about Sector. Sector is a wonderful learning platform for our students. It's also a wonderful engaging platform for our parents. So there's 3 elements to Sector. There's Sector Learn, which is the students. So they're able to actually log on and engage in their learning. So if they're actually home from sick or away from school for a period of time, they're actually able to log on to the learning platform, and the teachers will have uploaded onto theirs, which is called Sector Teach, what the class is doing during that day. So the students are able to continue to work whilst still being home if they're able to. The other wonderful part is Sector Engage, and that's our parent portal. So parents will be able to log in. They'll be able to see live grades, sometimes before the students even see them, because a teacher might, during the day, during some of their spare time, hit the upload button and the grades will go live and parents will be able to see it. But they'll also be able to see things like homework, upcoming assignments, excursions, and all of that will be there. So when your young people come home and say, oh no, I can jump straight on the PlayStation tonight. Oh, don't you have any homework? No, I'm all good. Well, not according to Sector here. You have to catch up on some maths or some science, so you'll actually be able to stay engaged with it. It's a wonderful learning platform. It engages our community. What we have found from our studies is when students step into high school, parents start moving away from that. One, because the students don't want them there anymore, but also the fact that it's, oh, they're in high school now, I'll let them go. Years 7, 8 and 9 are crucial in that person's development. We know that from what Brady informed us earlier, that those formation periods of time about their study habits, work habits and well-being are super important. Parents' involvement in that is really, really critical. So to actually continue that with already established here on site with the parent engagement, as you have been here, is fantastic. So having parents involved in learning, having parents involved in other opportunities is super critical to the development of our young people. This is a very exciting venture for us. And when I say us, it's across our sector, but in particular the schools that I'm working with. We know that from year 7, the students are starting to look for something different. They're looking to engage in a different style of learning. We know at year 8 and year 9 that needs to be deepened and further information needs to be discovered for the young people. So what we are working with at the moment is creating a timetable where students will actually have an experience in what we're calling micro-credentialing. And it is in our draft curriculum guide at the moment on page 7. So there is some information in there about our micro-credentialing mini courses, where we'll actually either take the students out of normal class, maybe off-site, maybe we'll bring in an expert onto site, and students will do mini courses in a range of different topics. I'll take one, for example, could be around a barista course. So we know that we'll have a state-of-the-art food innovation technology here at the school that's going to have a barista coffee machine. So what the students will do is they'll undertake potentially an 8-week course, 2 hours, for example, 2 hours on a Wednesday afternoon, where students will disappear into different areas and learn different things, where they'll finish up with a barista's coffee making course with a certificate ready to go. But they won't just go away and just learn how to use a machine. They'll actually learn what it is that goes into making a coffee. So understanding where the bean comes from, understanding how much it might cost to actually make a coffee, understanding some business models to it, and then finish off being trained as a barista. What does that mean? Well, it's great for parents that enjoy coffee because their children will be engaged and able to make the perfect cup of coffee in the morning. But it also means at the end, they're going to, excuse me, leave St. Joseph's with a range of school skills and certificates that they can take to an employer. So wouldn't it be great that at when they go and leave the school, they can go walk up to a local cafe and say, hey, I've got already I'm trained. You don't need to train me. I'm ready to go. And that can be through a range of different things. First aid's another wonderful thing. Actually having our young people trained in first aid. I did see an ambulance officer walk in, yep, gave me a smile, thought, great, I'll be able to plug that one. But for our students to understand and spend some time in actually learning first aid. We are in a country community. We understand sometimes they might come across things in different properties or down by the river. Wouldn't it be great that they're skilled and trained in first aid? And we as a school will provide that to them during that time. I'm going to pass back to Annette now because she's going to be able to add on to that because it's really important in developing what we're calling our learner profiles with that as well.
Thank you. So one of the things that the SACE board has talked a lot about recently is this thing called a learner profile. Universities are now saying we do not want to just take students based on an 8R, which is a score out of 100. We want to know what skills are they bringing to our university along with their grades. So at St. Joseph's, when your son or daughter leaves, they will leave with a learner profile. So they will have a portfolio essentially, or a CV. They will come out with their grades from their subjects that they can take to a job, but they will also come out with a set of skills. So they will receive levels in the key capabilities around leadership, around teamwork, around their social, personal capability, but they will also come out with a group of certificates. So imagine your son or daughter either on a web page or by hand fronting up to an employer, to an apprenticeship, to a university when they finish school. Not only do I have an 8R or grades, but guess what? I have a first aid certificate, I'm an umpire in football or netball and I have my accreditation to go with it. I'm a barista, I can make jewellery, I can do a number of things, and the universities are going to go, wow, come into our course. Because we know that as well as achieving high grades, you are an independent learner, you're creative, you can problem solve, and you're the type of person we want. So more and more universities are saying, we don't just want an exam score, we don't just want a score. We want to know what does that young person bring with them. And so at St. Joseph's we'll develop this learner profile and your son or daughter will leave with that profile they can take with them to high school and then on to university, to a job, to a TAFE course, to wherever they want to go.
Thanks again, Annette. So that also brings us to the point that we're actually going to make that learning relevant to them. We're going to make that learning relevant to them and to the community because we're going to select things that are important for students to understand, not just about their local community, state community, but also a global community as well. So it's all very important to us. And it will give them a little bit of an insight into understanding what is required for work, potentially beyond for them in the future as well, and for them to trial different things. So it is a very exciting time. engaged within all of that, we continue to keep the curriculum that we are looking is underpinned by what the school values, which is our engaged learners, inquisitive thinkers, empowered creators and relationship builders. That is what we continue to ensure that we have when we are putting together, and I thank Matthew and Sonia who have done a lot of work in this curriculum guide at the moment, that we're covering within our curriculum and bringing it back to that, because that's what we want our students to be when they're going to go into their learning environment and beyond that into the community. When they actually leave St. Joseph's, this is what they're leaving with. They're those 4 key sales that we continue to talk about. So we have to continue to remember that we are talking about a secondary education here. This is what we're going to be preparing our students for. It is really important for us to do that, and it's important to remind the students that we're doing. We acknowledge that they come from a wide variety of backgrounds. We acknowledge that they do bring different levels of skills and that we want to grow on those skills, but we're also creating an environment for them to learn which is going to be flexible. There's going to be some independence in there. There's going to be project work, inquiry work, an opportunity to select different subjects. So within that, they will start to gain their independence, and they'll get, but in doing so, a very supported way as well, which we feel is extremely important to the development of our young people. And finally, with that, and with our micro-credentialing, there might be some people that are sitting here going and looking at the examples that we've got in the curriculum guide that actually think, well, there's some other opportunities that I know in our community that could be a great idea. And an example that I've got there could be a mechanic sitting in the room that goes, well, actually, you know, I know someone, or there's a grandfather that's a retired mechanic that might want to give up 2 hours a week for 5 weeks on a Wednesday afternoon and actually engage the learners in a 5-week small motors course where pull apart a 2-stroke engine and put it back together again and see if it works. So we're also calling on our community to say, hey, we've got these ideas. Let's be innovative here. Let's engage with you. What do you want your learners to learn about as well? So there is still that opportunity, and that's what we want as well. Speak to your young people. Find out what other areas that they might be interested in and saying, yeah, well, we can do this in Murray Bridge. We can do this just outside of Murray Bridge. This could happen in Adelaide, or we could get an expert up to come and speak to the students and they can be qualified in something. So we're open to those opportunities and engage with you in them as well.